Headphones back on. Just gonna power through this. We got another 2 episodes today. We got about 15 minutes. This is the last bit of code we were playing around with. We opened up the directory in brackets, and all of it was there, but they've got a more complicated version, which should come from the end of the chapter. But everything in this file, all the stuff that's here, is in there. So in the preceding code snippet, you did two things first. First, you defined your user schema object using the schema constructor, and then you used the schema instance to define your user model. Note that for simplicity reasons, we save the password as clear text. However, in real-world applications, the user password should be properly encrypted. Next, you'll learn how to use the user model to perform CRUD operations in your application's logic layer. Registering the user model. Before you can start using the model, you will need to include the user server model.js file in your Mongoose configuration file. In order to register the user model, to do this, change your config mongoose.js file to look like what's shown in the following snippet. I feel like we've done this too. I feel like I did this last night. So we want to go on that machine and look in the brackets. So we come down here to brackets. I got two different brackets open. Which one we want? User server model.js. Is it that one? There's a user server model. User server model.js. Your Mongoose configuration. It's chapter 5. User server Mongoose configuration file. Just double check. User model. User server model.js. Before you can start using the user model, you'll need to include in your Mongoose configuration file. Is that one open anywhere? Do I have two open? No. Oh, the same one down here. Don't look like it. They're coming out of two different directories. Mongoose, JavaScript. That's chapter 6. And this is actually not the one I want. It's the wrong copy of it. I don't want to change anything in that. It's copies. Chapter 5. Config. Mongoose. Scope. Yeah, I don't want that one. Can we get up any higher? Let's go to desktop. Chapter 6. I shouldn't need that at all right now. Let's do chapter 5. Config. Mongoose. Alright. That's what I was wanting to change. Or at least read. Require. Return. Require Mongoose. Require config. Require model. In your Mongoose configuration file. Constant config, require config. I'm proud of myself for figuring that out. For understanding that this is the file they're referring to. Mongoose configuration file. I mean, it's kind of obvious now, but it wasn't when I was wondering if that was it a while ago. Require app models, user server model, return database. So all that's right. That's all really. Okay, so we're up to date on the text. Let's keep reading. Make sure that your Mongoose configuration file is loaded before any other configuration is performed in the server.js file. This is important since any module that is loaded after this module will be able to use the user model without loading it by itself. So let's look at the server.js file next. It's not open there, but it might be in the other set. There's the server.js. Where's that one coming from? Chapter 5, desktop chapter 5, okay. Make sure that your Mongoose configuration file is loaded before any other configuration is performed. Mongoose before any other configuration. I think I even said that. I might move this above development. Is that my issue? Surely not. Development. Before any other configuration. Maybe development's not. It seems like development would be a configuration setting. Make sure that your Mongoose configuration file is loaded before any other configuration is performed in the server.js file. This is important, since any module that is loaded after this module will be able to use the user model without loading it by itself. So yeah, we did get through this yesterday, or earlier, probably yesterday, and I wondered then if I should move this up, but I don't feel like it's worth questioning, but it's also, I don't think it's the right thing to do to change it yet. I just want to make a mental note of it. If I keep having bugs, we'll see what Stack Overflow says eventually. Creating new users using save. So this sounds familiar too, but I think it's because we were doing it in the shell before. We're trying to do it in the Mongoose layer now. You can start using the user model right away, but to keep things organized, it is better that you create a user's controller that will handle all user-related operations. In the app controllers folder, create a new file named user server controller.js and paste the following lines of code. Again, it's probably going to be there. Let's just follow the path and make sure. App controllers. File. File open. Didn't set Mr. Piggy. File. Still in 5. App. Controllers. And which one did they want? User server controller.js. Users. It's probably already open in the other set. Let's make sure. I think it is. Sounds familiar. Users server controller.js. Index server controller.js. That one is in the wrong spot. That is in the development second edition. Did we make any changes to it? Control Z says no. Let's just close it. Shouldn't have to save anything. User server node.js. Was that it? Or is it the controller.js? So we want a different. We want this right file but the wrong directory. I want to go in. I think this one's it. Go up to app controllers, user server controller.js. Paste the following code. Again, it should be there. It's constant user require mongoose. It's there. Create a new create controller method. Nope, exports create function. Next, constant user, new user. User save error. If error, return next error. Else, status. I need to scroll this down. Okay, not much more. It's a little different on the return. Else, response status 200. JSON user. Now I wonder, I should be able to just paste that in there, and I talked about that earlier whenever we may have been looking at the same code. But I'm not going to yet. I just feel like I could chain it together, but I'm thinking the way they've changed it, it's probably feeding the status information into here, into a block now. So it's interpreting it anyways. Let's go over this code. First, use the mongoose module to call the model method, which will return the user model. 11. Let's go another 10. 13 something. There's 15. Keep us from going too long anyways. Let's go over this code. First, I'm here. Just start reading. Let's go over this code. First, you use the mongoose module to call the model method, which will return the user model you defined previously. Next, you create a controller method named create. Let's go over this code. First, you use the mongoose model to call the model method, which will return the user model. You defined previously. User model to call the model method. Chaining together, which will return the user model. It's the user model you defined previously. Next, you create a controller method named create. That's what I was looking for. There's the create. It's your controller method named create, which you will later use to create new users. New user. Constant user is new user. Okay. Using the new keyword, the create method creates a new model instance. User save, which is populated using the request body. Finally, you call the model instance's save method. Constant user, new user, create, user save, user model, user exports, create, function, user save. Kind of getting it. And that's where I think it's actually feeding it in right there. Maybe not else. Kind of feel like it might be. User save. Using the new keyword, the create method creates a new model instance, which is populated using the request body. Finally, you call the model's instance save method, which either saves the user and outputs the user object or fills it, passing the error to the next middleware. If error, return next error. Else, response status 200. Okay, so if the response is 200, then send that object. Okay, I'm kind of getting that abstractly, at least. Understanding it abstractly and seeing the code just pop out of the server or run on the server are two different things, but I'm understanding the concept of what we're trying to do. To test your new controller, let's add a set of user-related routes that call the controller's methods. Begin by creating a file named user server routes.js inside the app routes. Okay, so let's look at app routes. So that'll be in chapter 5, app It's one of these two files. Users server route.js. It's that one. What are we looking at it for? In this newly created file, paste the following lines of code. So it should say, that little block right there should be in here. Constant users equals require app controllers user server controller module exports function app set up the user's base routes app route users post users create there it is post. So probably just need to make this wider if I can. It's probably not trying to go to a new line, or maybe it is. I guess it's allowed. Post users create get users list. Okay, since your Express application will serve mainly as a RESTful API, let's go that way. Is that better? Try that for a while. Oh, I lost my window, which means I don't need this as big. It's not about me. Okay. Now I can read all the book. What we got left? 17 minutes. Alright, let's stay focused here. Since your Express application will serve mainly as a RESTful API for the AngularJS application. So see, we're running two different applications. Since your Express application will serve mainly as a RESTful API for the Angular JavaScript application. So you're running an application on the front end and the back end, and then probably running another application to connect the two. Oh no, we'll get this. It is a best practice to build your routes according to the REST principles. In this case, the proper way to create a new user is to use an HTTP post request to the base user's route you defined here. Change your configure express.js file to look like what is shown in the following code snippet. Configure express.js. Alright, let's go look at that so we can track that one down. Open Sesame. Configure Express. Configure Express. Okay. Yeah, Morgan. Oh, wait. Express. Load the module dependencies. Express. Morgan. Okay, it's got the sensei. Morgan compress and body parser. Morgan compress body parser. Method override. Session. Which one's not there? Express. They don't have Express over here, do they? Wonder if it's getting in the way. Probably not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's another one they don't have. Constant config. They don't have a config required config. So I don't know why they've taken those two out, but they're not over here. So I'm guessing we add them later in the text. But everything is here so far. Let's keep going. Module exports function. Constant app express. if environment development app use Morgan, okay. Else if production use compress, app use body parser URL encoded extended true, app use body parser JSON, app use method override, okay. Does this one go down? Yeah. Method override. That's all. Okay, let's get back. Same thing, we'll scroll down, match up, app use body parser, app use body parser, okay, app use method override, app use session, save uninitialized true, resave true, secret config session secret, app set views, app set view engine, EJS, require. Okay, here's what they've added. See how it's bolder. App routes users server routes JS app. Okay. Change your file to look like what is shown in the snippet. App use static public. App use express static public. Return app. That's it. To test it out, go to your root application folder and execute the following command: node server. Your application should be running. To create a new user, perform an HTTP post request to the base user's route and make sure that the request body includes the following JSON. See, I tried this. Perform an HTTP host post request. Maybe I posted it wrong. Let's do this. Let's go look at the index. HTTP post request. That's what an index is for, right? And then we'll have a, let's get out of full screen maybe. Or is it up here? Well, let's exit full screen. And we'll do a find. Paste. None. Really? HTTP post. Let's go back. Let's do it the text for a second. So we should have one here. There. So we got two of them. Or this is the second time. Node server. First one again. And it's adding that line. We saw that. Okay, add node server. Run node server. So let's try that first. When in doubt, follow the instructions. It's on, it's not in here. It's not in here. Or here. It's out here in one of these. Let's quit that one first. Control C. Should refresh the server. I don't think we've changed anything anyways. It should still be the same. Let's get it. The response that it's running. There it went. Server running. Localhost 3000 users. Same thing. Okay. So what I'm wondering about, what we need to be able to do, your application should be running to create a new user, perform an HTTP post request to the base user's route, and make sure that the request body includes the following JSON. We're using the right database. Is that the episode? Yep. Alright, one more episode. We'll throw a quarter in the box. And get up and stretch my legs. Do one more episode. I'm gonna try and look outside the book for a second. I need to figure out how to format that. I thought I found how to format that earlier. And we inserted something, but we might not be inserting at the right spot because we keep getting an empty array back. So if we don't get that, I may try and format a site point question next episode. Let me stand up, stretch my legs, and read a little bit. Let's see what's going on here. Stop recording. Yes.